charge of the creative process of the shoot, but I want to at least have an idea of mine so that we're on the same page, you know. Photography is something that I'm passionate about, so I try to stay consistent with it because I really want to have a future with it.
So then, like, say you were doing like a music video for like Mick Jenkins, how would you direct something like that? Hey everyone, how's it going? Welcome to the KDigitals podcast. On today's episode, I have Indigo Filmz joining me. How you doing, man?
Good. How you doing?
Doing well. For sure. So like I was saying, usually the KDigitals podcast is usually where I dive into artists, their background, their origin, their process. Before I kind of kick it off, Akil, I want to know, I would define you as a photographer, but that said, do you define yourself as a photographer? If so, what type of photographer are you? Do you care to say like fashion photographer, travel photographer, or just general photographer? Like, how do you see yourself?
That's a good question. I think I just define myself as like a general photographer. I like to dabble into a lot of different like realms of photography. Mm-hmm. I really don't like to try to like limit myself to anything. I even get into video a little bit. So yeah, I think photographer is a fair term, you know. Mm-hmm. Yeah,
for sure. So you mentioned video. That's actually one of the questions is your name's Indigo Filmz, right? But all I've seen is like photos from you. Do you have films or are they just not on IG?
Yeah, I do dabble in videography. I'm still like working on my craft, I guess you could say. Okay. So I haven't shared much video work with Instagram yet, but I actually aspire. I wanna get into like directing music videos eventually. That's inspiring goal of me. So that's something I aspire to do. So yeah. Mm-hmm. And yeah, that's kind of like the inspiration behind the name as well. So yeah, I get that question a lot.
Mm-hmm. Did you like initially like get into it to do films and then photography kind of just like took over for like a major part of it? Like how did that?
Oh, actually I started out with photo. It's funny, like the way I started taking pictures was actually, it's funny, like in high school, like my friends and I, we used to take pictures like after school a lot or like during lunchtime. Mm-hmm. I was like, you know what? Like, I really like taking pictures. Like, I think I'm gonna get a camera. And then it just turned into that. And then the name Indigo Filmz, like, I don't know. I really like the ring to it, and I just stuck with it. Like that's always been my name since like high school. So I just stuck with it. Mm-hmm. Yeah,
mm-hmm. For sure. You're so when you like got into like the photography part of it, where like you wanted to like get your own camera. What did you start with? Did you go like straight into Sony? I'm assuming you're a Sony shooter, but like, did you go into how did that?
I'm actually a Fuji shooter. Okay. Yeah, all my content on Instagram is Fuji, but my first camera was a Kodak. It was a Kodak digital camera. It wasn't even an SLR or a mirrorless. It was like a digital Kodak camera that my mom got me. Then my next camera was a Nikon D3400, pretty standard.
Okay, yeah, that's a good starting point.
When I came to college, I saved and bought myself a Fuji X-T30. Mm-hmm. So that's what I shoot with now. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Why the Fuji? Like, if you had the opportunity to like save up and like choose, what made you choose that one?
I was looking into the best options for my budget. And I was looking into like digital and mirrorless. And so Fujifilm actually has some very high level mirrorless cameras. Like Fuji and Sony are much up there. They both have their pros and cons, but yeah, I really liked what I saw, like from the reviews, and the price was right. And honestly, I don't see myself buying any camera other than the Fuji, like moving forward. Like I'm probably gonna stick with Fuji. Like as long as yeah, like I love Fuji.
Oh, interesting. So it wasn't just kind of like you bought the couple lenses, show, okay, well now I have to see, like you're like intentionally like, no, this is the path.
Yeah. I love my camera. Yeah.
So what is it about like Fuji in general? I mean, like, I don't know, Nikon, Canon, Sony, like I'm sure you see a little differences, but like a Fuji, like what is it about like that camera or like that brand, I guess?
Yeah, I mean, Nikon's like Nikon, Canon, those like DSLRs. Fuji's a mirrorless camera. Mm-hmm. So like it's a different operating system. They both have their perks and they both have their weaknesses. Like for example, Nikons or DSLRs in general typically have better battery life. But Fuji's like, I really like the sensors that Fuji makes. Like, I like their sensors. Like, I like the quality of the pictures. And now I'm just so used to their operating system that I love their cameras. They have like a great selection to choose from, and I really don't feel like having to adjust to a different operating system.
Yeah.
Yeah, I really don't feel like having to do that again. And I already have like lenses and stuff that are all like for Fuji
and then
cameras.
that part, yeah.
Like, yeah, you know.
Rebuy them all again with a different name, right?
Yeah.
You just kill your bank account. I feel it. That's why, like, right now I use Nikons. And same thing, I bought a couple lenses. And like, don't want to try Canon. Everyone else using Canon. Don't want to try Sony. I'm like,
you could get adapters though.
That's also true. But so you seem like, you know, I'm not a technical photographer, and I feel like you know a lot more than I would. Would adapters, do they do anything like in terms of like quality? Or like, is it really just an adapter? Like,
not necessarily. I mean, you may have a crop issue, but I mean, you're probably it's like one thing with adapters is like, you may lose your autofocus. Like if you had autofocus, like with the camera, if you have the lens, if you have a camera that has autofocus, that and the lens is like the same brand as the camera, if you put an adapter on it and put like a Nikon lens on the Fuji camera, you probably don't get the autofocus anymore. So you probably have to use it manually, like to adjust the focus and whatnot, and things like that. But besides that, you probably don't run into really any issues. Yeah, I have a few adapters for like Nikon and Canon lenses, but I barely ever use them. So yeah.
What is your like go-to lens? Like I feel like when I look at your shots, it's always like the same, like not like the same, but like you have that style like from below, kind of like I assume it's like a 35, right? Or
yeah, I shoot with the 16 millimeter.
Oh damn.
f1.4, but it's 16 millimeters on a crop sensor though, so it's not as wide as 16 millimeters on a full frame. Yeah, but it's 16 millimeter f1.4. That's usually my go-to. I also have a 35 millimeter f.95 that I used to use more often before I got the 16, but that's my other go-to. That one's a manual lens. So between those two are pretty much like my rotation.
Yeah. Do you ever consider like doing like a 85 millimeter or like a 105, like going that zoom?
If I shot sports, if I had a need for one, like if I did something like a sporting event or like maybe a wedding where I couldn't get very close, something like that, then I would consider. But like for the type of work that I do, which is typically like portraits and like in controlled environments, my 16 works great. Yeah. Love that lens so much. If something ever happened to it, I'd be heartbroken.
Yeah, and you just buy another one and it's like, fuck. For sure. Well, speaking of like, you brought up like portraits and like controlled environments. You have a lot of these, like, I don't know if it's a recent thing where you have like a studio kind of setup, but like at a park or something like that.
Yeah.
Where like I know some recent ones where like you're shooting, it's like nighttime, you just have like a flash or something going off. Like, what's like the inspiration behind like that kind of style or like setup?
I like to use photography to like get creative and like just express my own like creative like eye, you know. So what you see on my page is like a lot of it is like inspiration that I see from other artists that I follow, and just like my own just like creativity, like my own creative like touch that I'm just throwing out there, you know. So like that's like where it really comes from. Like, yeah. It's just like my style, you know?
Yeah.
I like playing with lights and like colors and stuff like that. So I like to show that and display that through my work. Yeah. It's like photography is really a creative outlet for me. Like it's a way for me to express my creativity. So yeah.
Have you ever considered getting to like graphic design or interior design or I don't know. You haven't done much video, like anything not camera related, drawing, where you're just like, nah, it's not my.
Yeah, I don't know. That's really my thing. Like, I really enjoy like taking pictures, like the whole process of it. Like, I like everything about taking pictures. Like, I like working with people, like working with clients on photos, the
Mm-hmm.
creative aspect of it, and like I feel so free. Like I'm one of those people that like I I'm an entrepreneur for one, and for two, like I don't like to be like held down or like restricted in my workspace. Like I like to
Mm-hmm.
the idea of like supporting yourself financially, doing something where you're your own boss and you have full creative control, and you can just uh you're your own boss. You can just like kind of be free with it
Yeah.
and get creative with it. Like that. The idea of that is very appealing to me, and
Mm-hmm.
I guess I express that through my work.
Yeah. Okay. So then, like, say you were doing like a music video for like Mick Jenkins, how would you direct something like that? Like for like his style?
Well, first we'd have to discuss like, well, my first things I was trying to figure out a location, then discussing with him trying to figure out like what type of vibe he's going for,
Mm-hmm.
and then we can go out some possibilities, some ideas, a budget. That's always important. We gotta know what budget we're working
It's always
with
about the money.
before
Let's
we.
go.
Yeah. And then from there, like, it's just like off that, like once I have an idea, because a lot of people, the thing is like when people hit me up for shoots,
Mm-hmm.
a lot of times they don't have like a solid defined idea of like what they want. They have like idea like, oh, like I want a 90s vibe, or oh, I want this type of vibe. And then from that, it forces me to like it forces me to like use my creativity and try to like figure out something. So like I think I've become very good at that, like getting really creative and like figuring out something, and then we can just figure out something from there, and then yeah, we just do it. I just need like an idea, like usually my clients give me an idea of what they're going for, and then from there we can like work off that, and like
Yeah.
I'll throw them some options and like we could do something like this, and then we'll figure something out.
For sure. So then how did you start working with like Kevin Kloud?
Oh, okay. Yeah, he actually I met Kevin and Miles last summer, and they hit me up. They hit me up for a shoot. There's some up and coming musicians. You should check them out. They make really good music. They hit me up. They needed some some basic like artist promo work, and I appreciate them a lot because for working with me for one, and for two, they give me a lot of like creative control over like the shoot and stuff like that. And they basically say like, hey, like you trust your eye, like just like like do your thing. And so it forces me to step out of my comfort zone, because now it's like it's kind of pressure, like oh, like it's on me to figure something out. But I also think it's really dope that you trust me with that.
Yeah.
So yeah.
So is it kind of like
we've been working ever since?
Yeah.
Oh,
so
my
like,
bad. Yeah.
Oh no, no worries. I know there's like a delay with these things.
Yeah.
Go for it. I mean, like, go ahead and finish your.
I was just saying, like, yeah, like they hit me up last summer, and we've been working ever since. So yeah. Yeah.
For sure. So then, if I was to come to you like, hey, I want a video 90s vibe, is it something where you like put together like 3 storyboards? You're like, what do you think of all the 3? We're like, hey, I figured out the idea. Just show up, and we're gonna make money. Like, how is it?
Oh no, I had to discuss. I'd be like, so like 90s vibe, like okay, like what are we talking, like
the man.
What type of like did you have anything in mind, like like I'm trying to get an idea of like what they had, and then we can just go off that and build ultimately, like yeah, because I don't mind taking charge of the creative process of the shoot, but I want to at least have an idea of mine so that we're on the same page, But once I feel like I have a solid idea of like what we're trying to do, I can be like, okay, like I can take it from there and kind of be like, okay, like, yeah.
For sure. So then why do you focus on like portraits then?
Portraits, as opposed to?
Just like, I mean, like you mentioned, like if you, for the photography, like it really is more portraits, people versus like travel photography, right? And getting like just like long exposure shots. Like it really is like you have good portraits. It's like why that focus?
I enjoy working with people for one. And I feel like portraits just where it's at. Like I mean, I like to dabble in landscape sometimes. Like
This ain't a hobby.
from time to time, I might dabble in landscape, but like I don't know, portraits where it's at. You know, as far as like portraits, kind of where the money's at, and video. But also just like it's what I enjoy to do, like working with people and like long exposure shots and stuff like that. Like it's cool, but it's like I feel like when you're working with like a client or like other people, like it's a lot more like things you can do.
Yeah,
and that's just like where I gain my inspiration from, you know. So yeah.
So all the like shoots you've been doing, like is it something where you're reaching out to people on your own and like, hey, I have this idea, you want to do it? Or is people like, hey man, I want to shoot, can you shoot me? Like, okay, what do you want to shoot? And then
a combination. Like usually I have a lot of like wacky ideas or like stuff, and I hit up my friends. Like if you check out my page, like there are a few people that you'll see like recurring faces, like page, and those are like some of my friends that like they've turned into my models or my muses, and I kind of use them to like test out my cool ideas. And then also when people hit me up for shoots, like sometimes they may not have much of an idea, or they do, and then we're just executing like whatever they're trying to go for. So it's a combination of both. Yeah.
For sure. So then I guess how do I ask it? So is there, I guess what I'm trying to ask, like, are there people you haven't shot with they're like, oh, I want to shoot with that person, like I want to see what I can make with them, or like I wish this artist would hit me up? Like, do you ever that, or it's more like you just focus on your crowd around you?
There aren't really people that I see and I'm like, oh, like I gotta shoot with them, because I feel like most of a shoot is less about the individual and more about everything else, like the setting, the setup, the theme, the outfit. So like you can get a model and like adjust them to whatever type of theme of the shoot you're trying to go for, like you know. But yeah, there are people that like hit me up and want to work with me a lot, but I wouldn't say there's anybody that I'm like, oh, like I gotta shoot with them necessarily. Especially when I got all these good looking friends, you know. So
you're like, shout out to them. Hit up other people, they might charge me for sure. Right. That's dope, man. That's cool. So let me ask, like, when did you get started with photography? Because I feel like clearly you know a lot, right? And you like really think a lot more critically about this. And I think a lot of folks like, oh, just pick up a camera and shoot, right? And talk about lenses. Like, you're really like, yeah, the technical parts are there, which you get, but you're also like, it seems like you're way more leaning on like the art side, right? Like that's really where your mind's at. Like, how'd you go from just after school with friends kind of joking around to like, let's go out there and like create some art?
Well, that'd be my entrepreneurial spirit. Like it really started like, I want to say sophomore year, just taking pictures. Like when I got my first camera and just taking pictures for people, like, hey, like I got a camera, started a little page up. So I just like doing, like charging like $15, $20 for a photo shoot, stuff like that.
Yeah.
Then I just grew from that. Senior year, taking like prom pictures and stuff like that. Then I get to college to buy my first like legitimate professional camera. And now I'm working with artists. I'm working with people that have different like clothing brand companies and taking their like product shots, all type of things. So like, it's just really the biggest thing has been consistency. Like I want to stay consistent with it because photography is something that I'm passionate about. So I try to stay consistent with it because I really want to have a future with it. But yeah, I've always had a little entrepreneurial spirit, and I've expressed that through the medium of photography. Yeah.
That's dope, man. So where are you? So where do you go from here then? Right, you got your portraits done. You're doing music videos, but like 5 years from now, like you're gonna be in London shooting with like Vogue. You're gonna be in LA.
That's a great question. Who knows what opportunities come up? Like right now, I'm a third year in college right now. Okay. I plan on graduating after next school year. My goal, like as far as college has been, is just to like build my brand as much as I possibly can while I'm in college, and you know, like get as much experience, build my portfolio, because I'm still like, I still feel like I'm nowhere close to where I want to be at. Like I'm not even close to where I want to be at.
Yeah.
As far as like my creative photography, videography, as far as my creative endeavors goes, like I'm not even near where I want to be at yet. I want to get to a point where I'm able to support myself off of photography and videography. Like that's like my overall goal. And I'm nowhere close to that yet, but I've made tremendous progress in a very short amount of time. So that's what keeps me going. Like, I just wanna, I really like, now that I'm still in college, so I really just wanna like, I'm focused on like trying to build my portfolio and see what type of opportunities I can get and like exploit them, because really life is so unpredictable. You gotta just like it's so hard to predict the future, because you might have a game plan, but things come up, feelings change, things happen. So right now I'm just trying to stay consistent. It's got me this far, so I'm just trying to stay consistent with what I do and make the best of the opportunities that present themselves to me. That's where I'm at right now.
Yeah. Damn. That's, I mean, that's a good place to be, but like, yeah, man, that makes a lot of sense. That's dope. And that's cool that you really are like where you're at already, I feel is like good, right? But you're like, I'm nowhere near good. There's still a lifetime of stuff I'm gonna create. Just wait for it. And it's like, oh, that's okay. I appreciate that. And it's love and respect that for sure. So then in terms of consistency, because a lot of your shots have that like down up to like someone look.
Okay.
Is that like something like you like a look you like, and you're like, I just want to keep doing shots like this very like paparazzi look, or like what? Like what is being consistent for you?
I guess that's just a style that I've adopted. In the equipment that I work with, for one, and then just that's just the look, I guess, that I've adopted. I never really thought of it that way, but I guess when I look back at my pictures, a lot of them are. I don't know. Yeah, I guess that's just my style, honestly. Yeah.
For sure. Cool, man. Well, I appreciate you letting me do the whole thing. I know I've been like jabbing questions.
Oh no, I appreciate you, man.
Yeah, for sure. Well, I know we're nearing time, so to wrap it up, after you've done photography for a while now, looking back at everything you kind of gone through and scar tissue you have, what's something you would recommend to a photographer, like a first year photographer, like just into it but still isn't really sure, like anything? Like, what's some advice you would pass down that you wish you knew at that point in time?
Don't be afraid to ask questions, for sure. That's a big thing. I'm big on that, and I feel like I'm always gonna be the person that, like, if somebody that's just getting into photography is like has a question or like wants to know advice about something or needs help on something, like I'm always there. I'm always there, because I've experienced like some people that get to a certain point of success and like they don't really want to like give up the game, like, or like help other people, like, because they feel like they're all that, like they put someone on a pedestal. And I don't really necessarily agree with that. I mean, to each his own, but
interesting. Okay.
So I don't want to be that person ever. So, but I'd say definitely ask questions and stay consistent, you know, and you got to force yourself out of your comfort zone sometimes. Yeah.
For sure. I appreciate that. I'm going to learn that too, even though right, I've been shooting, but like, yeah, that's great, man. Dope, dude. Well, hey, Akil, I appreciate it, man. You've dropped some like nice like gold today. Cool. Well, hey, man, aside from Instagram or anything, like, where can people follow your work at?
Aside from Instagram, I'm also on Twitter at Indigo Filmz. Yeah, those are my two mediums right now.
Okay. Cool. Awesome, man. Well, I appreciate you taking the time to chat with me today. I will go and give you back your day, and I'll talk to you soon.
Hey, I appreciate it, man.
Yeah, for sure. I'll talk to you soon, man. Bye.